Happy Monday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It's a beautiful day in central Ohio today. For those of you guys that are native to here, what a wonderful day it was outside. A humongous, massive, strong defensive tackle jumped in the portal. Grad transfer. The portal window closed on Friday. So Ryan Day had a few beers. Good man to celebrate not losing Lincoln Keenholz or any other people potentially could have taken off. So that's a huge win for Ohio State. And now there's a little bit of a flood of these grad transfers. I think that it's kind of a shrewd move. These kids are waiting for the portal to close to see what the actual rosters look like. So, hey, this is a big kid out of Oklahoma State. We're going to break him down a little bit and take your questions. As always, if you enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys being a big part of our show. Give us a follow on Apple Podcasts, and we're going to get right into this thing because this will be a little shorter tonight, so we're going to go right into the Cavs game. Nevada, Justin Kirkland is a big, really strong kid. I mean, he does doing 40 reps at 225 as a high school senior. He is challenging to break the NFL Combine record, which is stood, I don't know if it's like 56 reps, but it's, I know Kudla went after it. I think he was one short. But it's a tough record to get to. But this kid, he's got the potential to do it. Big, strong kid, would be a good rotational nose guard. I watched his tape. He needs Larry Johnson in the worst way because technically he needs some help. But he's got some decent tools. He was a captain for a game last year and was a productive rotational guy, not a frontline guy. But he started the last game and sacked Shedeur Sanders in one of his biggest plays of the year in a really clutch moment for Oklahoma State versus Colorado. But as you get into us analyzing, as we start analyzing some of these graduate transfers, again, this is kind of like a secondary portal window. Would you take a shot on Justin Kirkland now that he's jumped in the portal? Again, he's big, strong kid. He's kind of, fits the program, academic kid, started off at a lower level, moved to Oklahoma State. Now he's moving again. What are your thoughts on Justin Kirkland? And do you think Ohio State should take a shot at this kid?
Well, it sounds like Justin Kirkland's got an idea of where he wants to go. He talks, he seems like he's Mr. Oklahoma State, but he talked about having a calling to go someplace else, which is kind of an interesting turn of a phrase right there. And so I'm trying to dig to see if that calling was to go to Ohio State, and if this one was one of those fait accompli that he's already going, or is it a fait accompli to go someplace else like Texas? But this grad transfer window, we talk about the subset of people. You've got the first portal window, and then you've got the second portal window, and then you've kind of got this grad transfer window that for guys could go really at just about any time. But you're talking about a really, really small cohort of people. So to have a big nose guard like this, as you said, he's one of those space eaters that eats up blocks so other guys can flow to the ball and make the tackle, make the play. It would seem like a guy like this would be attracted to the Ohio State situation because of what we're looking for on the defensive line, because of our success on the defensive line, because of the connection. I'm sure you're paying attention to what was going on here when Jim Knowles was here, being Jim Knowles' connections with Oklahoma State. And then, like I said, when he said the word calling, it just got me thinking, we seem to be doing well with people of faith. And is that in a connection? And maybe I'm reaching, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, and maybe there's absolutely nothing to that story. But as soon as I saw that, I got the calls out. We're waiting to see what's going to happen. I have a feeling this one's going to go down really quick because I have a feeling this guy knows where he wants to go. And if it was turned out to be to the Buckeyes, again, just be a nice piece, be a nice one of those guys that you could have there on another big body on the interior line, and a guy that could play, give you some valuable minutes, and as you said, could really use Larry Johnson in the worst way. I think you're talking, but you're muted, Mr. Burton.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, I think with him being from Utah, I think maybe it's BYU or Utah just because of the Mormon thing. But again, if I was this kid, I'd evaluate everything, and Ohio State's going to evaluate him too. But he's a big kid. He'd be our strongest defensive tackle by far, at least in the weight room. Maybe not production on the field, but he's a guy That's got some upside. He's a tough kid, and you've noticed that when we had kids in the portal, they've all been character plus kind of guys. They've been guys that haven't been problems in the weight room. They've been guys that they've been able to diagnose, and that's part of the beauty of what's been going on with like Bo Atkinson is you're adding a guy who's a plus character guy, a guy that probably would have been a captain at Carolina this year, and now he's going to be at Ohio State for 2 years. So I think that you got to kick the tires on everybody at this point because we didn't add a defensive tackle in the portal. And there are still some kids out there, but there's not really any defensive tackles of note that are still left that haven't committed. There's an offensive tackle that's still out there from Sam Houston that we're still looking at. But again, I would sell the fact that we had all 4 of our defensive linemen get drafted. Larry Johnson, there's no way that someone's had more defensive linemen as a position coach get drafted in the last 10 years because it's like 75% of his starters have been draft picks, and they've been guys that have gone high. They've been guys that they've gotten huge second contracts. So again, I get the religious thing. I totally understand if a kid goes to BYU or whatever, but I would really want to figure out if I could work with Larry Johnson because if this kid wants to have a career after Oklahoma State, which at this point he's gonna have to really put in a lot of work technically. Going to the best position coach in the history of defensive line would be a smart move. And this is, like I said, I love gym rats. I love kids that are strong. I love kids that are 50 bench press guys playing nose guard for Ohio State. I think that adds something to it because it means the kid's dedicated. He's competitive. Obviously, genetically, he's gifted to be that strong. But yeah, like I said, he had some nice highlights last year. And again, it's a deal where we need another piece. We need a push at the nose guard position because I think that's the position I think that's got Ryan Day up late at night is that who's going to be the backup when Caden comes off the field to get a breath because we've got Tylen Malone. He's not quite big enough to be a nose traditional nose. Now Larry plays smaller noses, which is something that has been fascinating to me because he loves playing Mike Hall at nose, and I think he likes the speed guys to be able to get up the field. And disrupt double teams and penetrate in the interior running game. That's why he played Ty Hamilton there. Because again, in a traditional sense, you'd think, well, Ty Leak, who's 340 pounds, should be the nose, and then the smaller guys, the 3 technique. But Larry does it the opposite, which again, I think it's fascinating because I thought Mike Hall did a really good job playing nose. Some of these guys, I think it's just kind of a disruptive thing. Ty Hamilton was the lead at it. So yeah, this would be kind of a different kid. This kid's more of a traditional nose. And again, I think that, when we're going against teams that are going to run the ball on us, which, every team will try to run on us next year with our D-line situation, which is much better now that we've added Bo Atkinson as a starting defensive end. But I think these guys, you got to look at them. And again, if he ends up going to BYU tonight, that's fine. But any defensive tackle that's jumping in, you got to take a swing at. Because again, these kids, especially when it's a good kid and it's a kid that's got your faith, like you said, faith-based and strong. Like I love strong weight room guys because that means that they're dedicated, they're not allergic to it, and I think that those kids have a better shot at making it at Ohio State because Ohio State is daunting when it comes to the strength and conditioning program, the summer running program. It sucks. It's not for the faint of heart, and for some kids, it's a shock test when they get here and also they see how much we run, and how much our volume of training and the expectations. It's different. I mean, even the kids at Alabama couldn't believe how hard, like Seth McLaughlin couldn't believe how hard our program was compared to what they did. And Alabama was always like the gold standard of strength training, but our stuff was just way harder. And that's great because, when you need your team to be as conditioned as possible, like in the playoffs, it showed up in a big way. Nevada, this second window, that's kind of a de facto, basically grad transfer window. And what a grad transfer is if you're a player that has graduated from college, which, congratulations to any of these Ohio State kids that are graduating this weekend. If your resident school, and this is kind of a loophole that is always kind of funny to me, if the school that you just graduated from doesn't have the major that you want to pursue, then you can transfer instantly with no penalty and interconference and everything else. So the loophole is, like with Trevor Etienne, who went from Florida to Georgia last year. He graduated from Florida and he found some major at Georgia that Florida did not have. and he enrolled in it, and that is a loophole to be able to transfer interconference and immediately. So this really started getting utilized in the mid 2000s. Urban Meyer did a bunch of grad transfers when he got to Florida, and it's been a loophole that's been funny that I'm surprised they haven't closed it yet. But do you think we'll be active in this window at all, Nevada?
Well, I think we'll be selective. I think we'll be highly selective just because we have so few needs, on the team. We've talked about the position groups and, with the exception of maybe a specialist like a kicker or a long snapper or a punter, or an interior defensive lineman. I just don't think, we're going to be reaching. And yeah, because it's one thing to take a developmental offensive tackle from West Virginia or somebody like that you're going to stash and put them in the thing, put them in your strength and conditioning program and see what kind of gets spit out here in a couple of years. It's another thing taking a grad transfer because these are older guys that need to play right away. So these can't be developmental guys. These can't be depth down the road guys. These have got to be plug and play. Even if they're secondary pieces or backups or whatever it is, they've got to be guys that can help you in 2025 just by nature of their eligibility. That's left in college. So I think for Ohio State, they'll be highly selective. I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of activity in this area. And frankly, I'm not expecting there to be any. But if somebody came, to me, it's just a bonus. And the way Ohio State's been running lately, I wouldn't bet against Ohio State, getting lucky in the grad transfer portal window because they've been hitting it out of the park and everything else so far. So wouldn't shock me one bit if they picked up a key piece down the road.
Yeah, I think that it's compelling, and again, I think something that it really shows the strength of the culture, and something that would be like my number one recruiting thing, as these coaches are all out on the road recruiting right now, is we didn't lose a single scholarship guy in the second window, and that's incredible. Like when you talk about like the way that these kids want to move and the way that these kids might want to seek other opportunities, the fact that we retained everybody, I think it shows that guys, they just don't want to leave, unless there's a substantial deal or a guaranteed thing. But Ryan Day did an immaculate job keeping all these guys, and I think that that's something that needs to be lauded. Like, it's not winning the national championship, but it's winning the offseason when you can add guys like Max Clare, and you can add guys like Ethan Oniano, and then you get through spring. And some guys probably got pushed down the depth chart by some of the new arrivals, and everybody still stays on board. It's incredible to me. Like I said, this has been this has been maybe the best offseason, maybe other than last year when we added Will Howard and Caleb Downs and Julian Saint, but this is pretty close. I mean, to keep this core together, coaching staff's in great shape, a lot of excitement around the program, some great additions. Like, this has been an amazing offseason for Ryan Day. And good for him. Like he earned it. He deserves it. He's a guy that's worked tirelessly to build this thing. And like he mentioned on an outlet that he might have cracked a beer when the transfer window closed. And like I said, God bless him, because again, the whole key to the last 3 or 4 weeks is keeping Lincoln Keenholz here, because then you've got legit competition going into the season, and you also have two good scholarship quarterbacks. Again, I was just worried. And Lincoln is this close to potentially, I'm not gonna say he's gonna beat out Julian, but it's, I mean, if Julian sprains an ankle or breaks a shoelace, like Lincoln's in the game, and he's throwing it to JJ and Ennis and Tate, and like I don't know why he'd leave that opportunity, but there was an undercurrent that could happen because he's a desired commodity, and with NIL and everything else, it's a curveball. Again, you see some of these quarterbacks that dipped in the draft, and quarterbacks get paid a huge amount in NIL because without a quarterback, you don't have a shot. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this summer to get cooked up. The kids they're kind of off right now. Some are traveling a little bit. They've got finals this week. So in general, the workout stuff is discretionary. So guys don't have the formalized workout. So guys get a little bit of time off after spring ball. And the way that they have these online classes now, like a lot of these kids have already taken off, so they're not even in town. So the workout stuff will crank up in a week or so, and then we'll get really focused on that. We do have a super chat. Let me see if I can find that. Where did that go? Because it is not popped up on here the way it should be. Oh, I found it. Give me 1 second. So we got a super chat again. I appreciate you guys being on here a little bit early tonight, just because we've got our beloved Cavs game. All right, Nevada. Dylan Battle from LSU is in the portal, 6'2", 320. I don't know anything about him, but if he's a defensive tackle and he has a pulse, I'm sure we're going to evaluate him. Nevada, I know there's no way you know about Dylan Battle from LSU, but like I said, I think that Mark Pantoni, if we could add one more defensive tackle, especially a heavier one that can play nose, I think that would be a huge add for the program. Your thoughts? Do you think we will pursue? I think we'll pursue any defensive tackle that comes into the portal that is an above average player. You're not going to get a fifth-year guy that has never played at all, but if he's a guy that's played at all, I think we're going to take a look at him. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think we'll evaluate everyone. Like you said, we're not going to just go out and get somebody just to get somebody, because that's how you ended up with Taiwan Malone. And I don't think we need more Taiwan Malones. We need more guys that can play. And so I don't know the particulars on Dylan Battle, but we'll definitely can look into them and see what Ohio State's going to do, because look, they want to be active in the second portal window, active in the grad transfer window, but they want to be prudent. You've only got a finite amount of money. We've talked many times about what happens when you bring somebody in and you pay them and they can't play. That is the worst of all worlds, because you've burned cap space, you've upset your guys in the room, and you've destroyed your salary structure. So that's really the nightmare scenario for Ohio State. So they've got to find guys that can play. And you keep in mind, you can't win the national championship in the offseason, but you can lose it. And you don't want to create problems where none exist. You don't want to turn good things into bad things. So they've got to be very diligent. But anybody that comes into the portal window, and especially the big bodies on the defensive line, they'll certainly look at them, evaluate where they're at developmentally, and if appropriate, pursue them.
All right, so Dylan Battle is from Arlington, Texas. He played at Mansfield Timberview, was a 3-star kid from the class of 2025. So he just got to LSU. I mean, he got there in like January, went through spring and dipped out. So I would say we'd probably evaluate him, but likely pass. If a kid's going to leave after 4 or 5 months somewhere, I mean, I don't say that's a total red flag, but to me, that's just something. I mean, he didn't even get through his first camp at LSU. So I don't want to know why. Again, it's kind of like doing the NFL draft evaluation, where you want to know, why did this guy leave? Especially like when someone leaves their career that early, like a lot of times it doesn't end well. I hate to say it, maybe he wasn't good enough. Because again, this is a 3-star kid who just was evaluated this past offseason. So I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Like I would really want to know, why are you leaving LSU after 4 months? And like, is that really worth taking on? Is he a head case? Is he leaving because he's upset about a lack of playing time? Is he or upset about where is that on the depth chart? Or was the coach a big meanie to him? Because that's crazy. And again, I've lived it. Every kid that ever played at Ohio State has thought about transferring. I don't care what anybody says, like except for maybe I don't know who, but it's like, yeah, everyone has those moments where it's not going great. You're behind somebody you're better than, whatever. But to actually pull the trigger that early and not even give it a summer and an August camp is kind of wild. I'm not gonna lie. So I would say that we'll evaluate him, I'm sure. But if we didn't offer him coming out of high school and he just graduated high school, then I don't. He had LSU and Cal, and you're kind of I feel like this guy was probably like a late take. He was he was the 82nd defensive tackle in the country. So again, that's not, I mean, do we go down that low usually? Usually not. But I mean, he had a Bama offer, but I don't know if it was a real offer, but it was LSU, Cal, Arkansas. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'd look at him. I mean, 6'2", 315, but when a kid leaves that early, usually it means that they got in trouble, or they don't like hard coaching. Usually one or the other. So Poohbeard 12, thank you for the deuce. Oh my God, my boy went to STK, the rib cap. My God. So Poohbeard went to STK. If you guys go to Vegas, hit me up. It is my favorite restaurant. Really good friends own it, run it. It's at Cosmopolitan. Had my wedding dinner there. I've been there many a times with Nevadabuck. It's one of our go-tos when we're in town. Um, but yeah, the rib cap's off the menu and it is fire. And I told them what to order, and my guys delivered. So that's awesome. I appreciate that, Pooh Beard. Nevada, any thoughts on STK and the rib cap?
Yeah, the rib cap is special, and but nothing is more special than the treatment you get from being a Kirk Barton VIP at STK. So if you are going, hit us up at buckeyescoop@gmail.com, and Kirk can get you the VIP treatment there. And believe me, it's worth it, because that place, it doesn't matter if it's
So,
a random Monday night or whatever it is, it's like slammed to the gills, and just being able to get in is good, let alone get into the right section and be treated well. So Kirk has definitely got the hookups there.
and the greatest thing ever is when I've gone with you and we knew we were going out afterwards and they brought way too much food and you're about to die and you're just like, I don't want to.
Way
You're
too
like,
much.
I don't want my stomach to be upset in the club. But I was like, I know what you're talking
Oh,
about. So let's
yeah.
keep the food to a minimum. I said, guys, we don't need like 17 appetizers and every
Oh
side. I was
God.
like, that's too much food. Even I mean,
Too
when
much.
I say it's too much food, then you know it's way too much food, and this is
Yeah, too
just
much food.
too much. But yeah, well, we Nevada, in terms of this offseason, and again, we'll just drag this for a second. You know, I think this has been as good of an offseason for Ohio State as maybe we've ever had. Between the aura of winning the national championship, the transfer portal, the NFL draft. Um, I just, can you think of a better offseason that we've had? I mean, maybe last year when because we actually got Will Howard and we kept JJ, but I just, I'm so happy with where this program is right now. Is this the best offseason that you've seen?
Well, I think in terms of where the program's at, I don't think that that's a hot take. I think that's probably spot on, because let's go back to where we were last year. I mean, what we were celebrating last year was the strength of, hey, look at, we returned these 12 seniors or 14 seniors or whatever it was that all could have gone to the NFL draft. And look, we've added some key pieces in Caleb Downs and Julian Sain and Will Howard, and the promise of the 2024 season was upon us, but we hadn't really accomplished anything yet. And now, as we're in 2025 and we're sitting here, we're the national champion. We're the national champion with the hottest coach in all of college football. If he's not 1A, it's got to be 1B. Right there with Kirby Smart, and a program that's hitting on all cylinders, recruiting at an exceptionally high level, and just put the most players we've ever put into the draft. So yeah, I'd be hard pressed to come up with a better one, or certainly a better one where, how am I feeling during the off season about the program? I have never felt better about the program than I do right now. I just think that it's it's where we want to be. It's sustainable. You always had the fear with Urban Meyer, as good as it was with Urban. You just knew that Urban was a comet that was going to burn out. You knew that he only had 6, 7, 8 years, because you can't burn that bright and not eventually just flame out, because that's just the nature of what Urban Meyer is. He's a phenomena that is not built for long term type of thing. Now, I was happy for the 7 years and wouldn't trade the 7 years for anything in the world. But Ryan seems to have some legs on this, and I'm not saying he's going to be here for 25 years and retire with a big statue in front of him, but he could be here for a bit, still has younger kids, still, could want to grow up. He's only 45 years old, and we may have him for a bit. And like I said, that's a great spot to be as an Ohio State fan, and certainly feeling good about where we're at.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about the program is like, you look at last offseason, obviously we got the incredible haul in the portal with the guys that we picked up, but we're coming off losing to Michigan and Missouri in that wonky, weird Missouri game where we didn't have a quarterback and O line was all kind of jacked up, and now it's like, I mean, we're coming off running the table. We're coming off, picking up some huge pieces. Again, I was watching some draft stuff today and some analysis. And, like when I watch Colson Loveland and I watch Tyler Warren get drafted in the top, 15, I'm like, well, I mean, isn't Max Clare pretty close to Colson Loveland? I think that's kind of the arc he's on. So I just think that when you look at everything and you look at the direction of the program and some of these pieces we've picked up, and the fact that we add a Max Clare and we don't lose any of our tight ends to the portal, like we don't lose Jelani, we don't lose. I mean, those guys would be huge. Those guys would be instant starters at most probably even Wildcats Merrick, Bennett Christian. Like we've got really a deep tight end room. Kept everybody. O line kept everybody, and those guys got humongous offers. Outside of the portal, being how young they were, how well they played in the playoffs, and to retain all of them, I think it's incredible. I mean, honestly, we've got some premier players at premium positions, and it's been a great work by Mark Pantoni, by Ryan Day, by the position coaches, and the culture of the program. And I think there's an excitement around the program, and I think that there's also a thought of there were guys last year, and again, this isn't to pile on or anything, but the guys that took off after Michigan, like Jaden Ballard, they left and they went to Wisconsin or whatever. They missed out on the greatest month in Ohio State football history. Running the table in the playoffs, the Rose Bowl. It's funny, like they won the Rose Bowl, and it's like, okay, now we're gonna go win the Cotton Bowl, now we're gonna go win the Natty, and to run that table and to miss out on that would be sickening. So I think that for some of these kids, I think in the back of their mind, they're like, look, we're good enough to run this thing back. And I saw a horrifically bad top 25 that had Ohio State as preseason number 5 after the spring. And I'm like, there isn't a single team better than us, let alone 4 teams better than us. And they had like Notre Dame ahead of us. And I'm like, with what quarterback, versus our skill and our speed and our offense, there's just no way, not to mention our head coach. But I'm excited as can be about this season. I think it's going to be excellent. Nevada, any final thoughts? We can wrap this thing up.
No, just I think for Ohio State, it's really kind of about building. Now is when you kind of lay the foundation for stuff. You lay the foundation, we can really get into the 2026 class. I mean, the recruiting calendar has speeded up. We've talked about that before. It used to be, when you were going through that, people took official visits in October, November, December, and we had a big signing day in February. Now, just about everybody of consequence signs in December. So the calendar's kind of moved back. So the big official visit weekends are coming up May, June, July, and guys are deciding, locking it down, and getting ready to play their season. So for Ohio State, really, just got to continue on the recruiting train, continue with the momentum that we've built up through the national championship, and lay in a great 2026 class to go on top of 25 and 24 and 23, and away we go.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a great season. Appreciate you guys for kicking it with us tonight. We're going right into the Cavs game. It's a great night of playoff sports, hockey, and basketball. So we're going to get right into that Cavs game. But I appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, another huge week on BuckeyeScoop.com. Make sure you guys join. Also, I'm actually going to click this back in because our merchandise drop is now live. And it is absolutely incredible. Give me 1 second. Let me load this thing in because it is this is our best merchandise drop that we've ever done. And I'm gonna get the URL switched to scoopstore.com. All right. So this is our Scoop gear drop. We kind of did a blackout theme. We have a blacked out hat. So it's got the black Buckeye Scoop logo on the black hat. I love that. We've got the return of the Urban Meyer quarter zip. We have the white Nike quarter zip. The Urban Meyer is back. This is the one that he wore on Big Ten Network. Beautiful piece. I already ordered mine. $60. Again, we keep the prices low because we try to keep it. Again, it costs us money to get it embroidered, get it out to you guys, everything else, but we keep the prices low. I mean, $60 is a steal for this thing. This is the Nike quarter zip. Beautiful piece. And then we've got our national championship line. So we've got our gold print. These are beautiful national championship shirts. Says one for the ages, Buckeye Scoop. National champs, get the American flag right on the sleeve. We got my beloved Carhartt, my favorite hoodie of all time. We got the blacked out racer tank top, which I love to death. Blacked out shirt. And again, we can do other stuff if you would like. Here's my Carhartt. This is one that's going to be my favorite hoodie with the national champs, one for the ages, 2025 Buckeye Scoop. This is going to be good gear. Another one with the blacked out flag. I love that one. Beautiful. And then we've got the original hoodie right here, Buckeye Scoop with the American flag. I got the t-shirt, the standard t-shirt, and then we've got the blacked out Carhartt with the American flag. I love that one as well. So yeah, it's going to be scoopstore.com. The gear is phenomenal. I know you guys are going to love it. I'm really excited for you guys, and I hope that you guys like it. So yeah, the store is now open. If you guys are on buckeyescoop.com, it is on there. I'm also going to post this on our Twitter. Our X is at Buckeye Scoop. So the link will be right at the top of the profile. So yeah, check out the gear. Again, it's super fresh. Like I said, we try to keep the prices as low as humanly possible. But I think you guys are going to love it because this is some good looking gear. So it'll be ready for some stuff. And if there's other stuff that you guys want, toss that in the comments below, because I'd love to see what else you guys like. So again, we're always about what you guys want, and this is going to be awesome. So I appreciate you guys so very much, and I'm going to head to the final scene of the show. But yes, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for all that you guys do. And thank you guys so much for being a huge part of the show. But yeah, the gear is live and it is fire. So I appreciate you guys so very much. So again, if you enjoy our stuff, please leave us a like, click subscribe, click that little alert bell. Also, if you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, that is huge. Again, we've been pushing that. We appreciate you guys so very much. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.